Roll with the Fox. I got Chris here, one of my students. He's building a Jiu-Jitsu army in his house right now. Guys, I thought if we'd go over something very simple. We also have a question for the app, which is how do you counter the tripod pass, which we're going to go over on the app. So what I thought about is let's go over cross collar choke. And sometimes people forget about very simple techniques that are basically fundamental, and you learn probably in the first 6 months of training, and then you basically throw it out because it rarely happens to you. And I have a story. I remember this a long time ago. This is probably 10, 15 years ago. A guy, he's a purple belt, joined my school, and he just spent a month in Brazil. And he's telling me that cross collar choke doesn't work. Said the Brazilian guys would basically give me their collars and I couldn't finish them. And I said, oh, maybe the Brazilians have different genetics. But then you can contrast that with Renzo Gracie, and I don't remember the exact year, and I was there, but literally he finished 7 guys with cross collar choke. These are elite black belts on a world stage. And I'm pretty sure by the time he finished the 3rd or 4th guy with a cross collar choke, the 5th or 6th guy knew what was going to be attempted. And in their mind, they're going to be, I'm going to stop this because this is a basic technique. And they couldn't. And long story short, so I said, okay, to this guy when he came to me, and I said, listen, okay, show me how you do it. I wouldn't even tap. Look at this neck. If I don't tap, nobody's going to tap. And then I did it to him, and he tapped very fast. So it's a very fundamental technique. It is a technique that obviously works with the gi, works with a jacket, works with a hoodie, works with a well-made t-shirt that doesn't rip up. And there's very simple things that you could do. And guys, there are a lot of times the analogous thing to a cross-collar choke in NoGi is, so in NoGi, if I'm going to go for the cross-collar choke, I'm going to kind of try to grip up. But in NoGi, I will probably switch to more of this approach. So this is what I'm going to do in the gi if I attack. If I'm attacking in NoGi, probably going to try to control the posture in a different way. All right, so the movements are not significant enough that you basically my body doesn't change. Again, guys, when you're attacking, you want to try to avoid big movements and you want to try to avoid a lot of regripping. But subtle movements like this or this is pretty easy. This is very easy, and I'm keeping him threatened the whole time. So let's go this way, Chris. So guys, let's look at sort of simple things. First, when you go for a cross collar choke, so this type of grip is pretty useless. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll open it up and I want to get my hand in. Now, there's a couple of things you could do to get that hand deep. So I want to make sure that basically I'm sitting up. This is not a good guard. Okay, so I'm sitting up and I want to put my knuckle on his spine. So that's where I'm aiming. So I'm opening it up. A lot of people just kind of grip like this because they think they're opening up. No, you open it to the side and up. Now, there's a couple of variations, which normally if I'm mounted and I'm using cross collar choke, I'm going to go for this handle here. But in the guard, you could also go under, and this is very, very, very strong. Okay? So now if I go over, again, I usually put my ear to the top hand, the top arm. That's the side I'm putting my ear to. So let's look at it without anybody. So a lot of people, when they get the grips, they try to flare out. When you flare your elbows out, that's a sign that it's failing. And why is it failing? Because you did not get a good grip initially. What you're trying to do is get a good grip, make a fist, straight wrist, and then do the same thing on the other side. Now, what you want to do is notice what happens. Where are his carotids in relation to my arms? Going to be right here. right? Look what happens when I start to flare my elbows. What you want to do is this. You want to almost have like a scissor action, because that's where the constriction comes in. So again, just like when we did with the iron fist, it's about placement. If your hands are in good position, you're going to have a good choke. If they're not in a good position, you're not going to have a good choke. So let's, I want to kind of go through it pretty quickly. I want to kind of reserve some more detailed explanation for the app. So one of the basics, so now, Chris, you're going to be doing this to me. Close collar choke. So one of the basic, go ahead. So one of the basic constrictions is, defenses is, first, when I see this happening, you already messed up, because normally you should not, once he gets the first grip, especially if it's good, you cannot let him get the second one. But if he does, well, you literally have a split second. You're gonna go over the bottom arm. No, hold on. Under the top arm, and now you're gonna anchor on your head. So now the pressure is off. The question is, you cannot half-ass this, okay? Because what happens if you don't go elbow deep, yeah, you're exposing your back, you're exposing your arm, but you have to, because if you don't, the guy is just gonna basically continue to choke you, unless he just basically thinks that you have some defense. Again, guys, when somebody threatens you with legitimate submission attempt, you need to commit to the defense. You cannot just sort of like, just brush it off. So again, I go over the bottom arm, under the top arm, and anchor. And from here, try to get posture. If he does not, I basically don't let go until he lets go. So just hold on until you realize it's. So now I'm just, if I was in Chris's shoes, I'd let go and start to move on to something else. But he's not. So until then, I will not let go. Now, let's look at a counter. What happens? So guys, again, when we've talked about this in closed guard, open guard, one of the most important aspects is you want to have good guard game. You need to string together a couple of guards that fit well together. One of the good fits is, and this is probably one of the simplest sort of, not simplest, maybe it is simple, but there's a lot of pieces to it, is to go from parallel guard to perpendicular guard. So now, again, so Chris goes with his hand, goes all the way. Well, you see this? I bring my legs over, and now he's armbar. Okay? Now, what I saw yesterday in class is when I bring the leg over, the guy rips out his arm. Well, what happens when he rips out his arm? He still gets choked. Again, guys, I love to string things together that the defense to one makes you vulnerable to the other. That is very good attacking, and we do this with open guard, with closed guard, but this is one of the best examples that you could see. A lot of times I just start the constriction. If the guy, I don't let go until he basically gives me the arm. If the arm is not there, he rips it out because he's aware that the arm is at risk now. I'm going to continue to choke him until he taps.
We have a few live questions.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
They are on different topics, but
sure. Yeah, you know the format. Yeah, live questions take priority.
MJ, not our Florida MJ, another MJ had a question. Sometimes when trying a straight ankle lock, my partner actually catches me in that very lock. I don't know how to optimally position my feet.
Well, that is the funny thing is if you look at the finishes of ankle locks. By the way, guys, I've been saying this for years. Straight foot locks, straight ankle locks are highly underrated because people have gotten really good at defending heel hooks. And when they defend a heel hook, they typically literally put themselves into an ankle lock. But if you look at the finishes, and there's a lot of them, if you look at 20 different finishes, the foot position is going to be quite different. I advocate this approach pretty much any leg locking. So this is why if I like basically the backside 90-10. So anytime I'm going for a foot lock, I want to put myself in a position that my legs are not at risk. So it could be this. So this basically does not allow Chris to attack my foot. But once I go here, this is a problem. And a lot of times you see the finishes, the guy has the foot on the torso because this kind of keeps him away and keeps all these tendons stretched out. Me personally, when I go for a straight foot lock, I like this type of finish where you going outside leg is going under and inside leg over. This becomes, becomes very, very strong. So let's look at, so there is not necessarily an optimal position, but I'd encourage you to apply the same approach that you do to any other foot lock is always think about your feet first. There is thousands of instances of high-level leg lockers being leg locked by the other party when they realize, oh, this guy left this thing outside. So generally speaking, try to avoid, draping your foot over because now he has exactly symmetrical. If I drape my foot over, this is okay. This is okay. This is going to be hard for him to counter. Even if he knows estimate, it's going to be, first of all, my foot is already too far over, but also it's hard for him to kind of sit up enough to threaten that. Okay? So I like personally on straight foot locks, I like a rear naked choke grip because I found that especially when the guy's fighting back, my hand starts to drift down. So this prevents the hand from drifting down. But I like this. I like this. And this is still good too. Again, always paying attention to not having your own feet at risk. That is very, very important. And this you should use that approach not just to straight foot locks, heel hooks, knee bars, everything else. I like to have one of my feet with insteps under his knee because if he goes belly down, that prevents him from backing into me. So this is actually a very good question. There is not necessarily an ideal placement because you will see a lot of different placements get the finish. But before you start to get into the ideal finish, make sure that you're in a good position that the opponent cannot literally turn the tables on you that quickly. Yeah.
Last question for today from Wildfire. What is your preferred way to arm drag, and are you reaching for the far lat to secure connection?
No, not necessarily. Depends on his reaction. I think there's an episode on arm drags, right? There's 3 kind of basic ways. My favorite one is this one. This is my favorite way. But I'd encourage you to go to that episode, and if you have additional questions, that's, but this is my favorite way. Not like this. This. And now, depending, what I'm going to do depends heavily on his reaction, how far I dragged him. If I drag him just slightly, he's not gonna give me his back. He's gonna try to posture up, which now allows me to wrestle up. If I drag him, now I can threaten the back. If I threaten the back, I'm more worried about him controlling. Chris, turn this way, please. So I'm more worried about securing his leg because right now almost nothing, whatever he does is gonna bite him in the butt. So a lot of times people try to hunt for the back too soon, and as they're making this big movement, the guy decides to roll. And now, yeah, keep going. Now, like, if I roll well, like a lot of times what happens is the guy can get his hook in, and if he starts lifting, I'm back to where I started from. So usually what I'll try to do is, depending how far I drag him, and how his reaction is, if it's short, usually he'll try to posture up, then I will wrestle up. And if it's long, then I start to attack either the back or the head and arm. And we're out of time. Again, guys, this is probably my favorite, both gi and no gi. It's the same one. This is the way for me. It's very good because it also, guys, again, it goes back to the idea of stringing guards together that work well together. And this, so if he tries to, if Chris tries to pull back, I can easily put him back into split guard, or like be more normal. Yeah, pull. Yeah, very easy reversal. So, guys, we will see you next week. We might or might not have a special guest.